Donald Trump held a little rally in Flint, Michigan this week, and as part of the rally, he brought in Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who gave a performance that left a bad taste, not just in the mouths of average Americans, but her performance, Sarah Huckabee Sanders' performance, was so horrible that it caused even members of the Trump campaign itself to come out and publicly denounce her because of how disgusting she is. So, in case you're wondering, in case you haven't seen it, here is what Sarah Huckabee Sanders said at this Trump rally in Flint, Michigan on Tuesday. Take a look.
So my kids keep me humble. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble.
Now, to give you the full context of what she said, because that is just a small part of a larger clip, she actually began by talking about the fact that, she stands up on that stage and you feel big and bad and powerful, and that's how she feels as governor, right? Like, I've got power, I've got authority, and then I go home and my kids, kind of make fun of me. My kids keep me humble, she said. That's how it started. And then, of course, because Kamala Harris has not birthed another human being, clearly there is nothing in this woman's life that keeps her humble. So I guess, what? Like, you didn't even finish the thought because, like, what is so bad about her not being humble, even though she is? You didn't even explain why not being humble is a bad thing, as you're standing next to Donald Trump, by the way, who is anything but humble. But here's the thing. Kamala Harris may not have birthed a person, but she does have two stepchildren that she has helped raise for years and years and years, since they were little. And the mother of those two stepchildren, Doug Emhoff's first wife, actually had to come out on social media attacking Huckabee Sanders and mentioning the fact that Kamala Harris has been a wonderful step-parent. And she is very humble. Her career has kept her humble. But this is a horrific statement from Sarah Huckabee Sanders because, again, not only is she attacking somebody because they didn't have children, she completely ignored the fact that the woman has, in fact, helped raise two children. They call her Mamala. And Donald Trump the whole time sitting right there smiling right next to her. But one of Donald Trump's own campaign advisors, not a former advisor, not somebody tangentially connected to the campaign, an actual senior advisor for his 2024 campaign, Brian Lanza is his name, came out and said this to CNN. I too was blessed to have a stepmother. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to have normal conversations without a stepmother. So I found that comment to be actually offensive. I don't know what more to say about it. I'm disappointed in Sarah. I'm sure I'm going to get a criticism from the campaign, but I have to sort of defend somebody who's a stepmom. It's a tough job. People step into that role. It's usually a difficult dynamic. My mom excelled at it. I'm sure your mom excelled. I'm sure you're excited and we should reward that and sort of speak of that in a very high tone. So who is he talking to, like this other person that was raised by a stepmother? Well, that happens to be a Republican strategist, a pro-Trump strategist, who was also on the panel, who said this. His name, I believe, my apologies, let me find it here, Scott Jennings. Jennings had said this before Lanza made his comments. I don't agree with this. Look, I have 4 kids too. Having 4 kids was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And also having a stepmother who raised me for a large portion of my life was also one of the greatest things that happened to me. And so I understand the value of people who step into other people's families and blend together and help raise children that aren't their own. So I don't love that. In full disclosure, I've only seen the clip. I haven't seen if she said anything after what the full context of the remarks is. For the record, I gave you the full context, and it's just as bad, if not worse. But we also live in America where we're all free and we're all free to make choices about our lifestyles and about our family choices and so on and so forth. I think having families is wonderful. It may not be for everybody, and some people may not be able to, and some people can't for various reasons. I don't think anybody ought to be demonized for that. So you got a pro-Trump strategist and a member of Trump's own campaign, one of his own advisors, trashing the very woman that Donald Trump put up on stage with him. because she was trashing people who happen to have stepchildren. And I take that personally. I was raised by a stepfather who for my whole life I called dad, because he is my dad. I have a stepson who's always called me dad because I am his dad. This is personal. And it pisses me off, as I'm sure you can tell right now. But let me go ahead and say something else. Sarah Huckabee Sanders talks about, well, my children keep me humble. You want to talk about children that should be keeping you humble? How about this photograph here? Remember this, Sarah? Remember when you signed that law, loosening child labor laws, putting children in danger, letting them work with heavy machinery for long hours, for less pay? Those 3 children standing next to you, looking like their lives had just been ended. Why didn't those children humble you? It should have. Any normal person looks at that photograph and realizes that those children are filled with terror. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be political props for you. And I'm sure your own biological children don't want to be used as political props for you. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're keeping you humble, because you go home and they say, Mom, how dare you? And as a step-parent, as somebody raised by a step-parent, and as somebody with just general morals, I will also say, how dare you? You are a vile, disgusting, subhuman. And I don't care if that's vile rhetoric. I don't care if it's angry rhetoric. I don't give a damn. This woman is out there insulting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Americans. Those who are step-parents and those who've been raised by step-parents. It's not an easy job. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders wouldn't understand that. She absolutely is just so vile that I'm at a loss for words. I take that back. I'm not at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words that I'm allowed to say on the air. Because there's plenty of things I want to say. But, I don't think y'all want to hear that string of vulgarities and profanities coming from me right now. And I sure as hell don't want to say it. But this is the reality we're living in right now. Where we have a political party that is saying that if you are a step-parent, you're not real. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that in a House hearing a year or so ago, or whenever it was. Step-parents don't count. So if you are a step-parent in this country, if you were raised by a step-parent, I don't see how you can support these idiots. These vile, nasty creatures like Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Donald Trump. You have to demand better of your own party. Okay, we've been demanding it for decades. They're not changing, they're getting worse. It's you, the voters of the Republican Party. You have to step up and say, F you, we're not going to support you when you're going to be this vile. So I commend this pro-Trump strategist Jennings, this Trump advisor Brian Lanza. I commend them for speaking out against this. Granted, that's the bare minimum they could do, but at least they did it. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.